but it just shows how good he is.
Let's get into some Michigan State. They responded well by taking an early lead over Maryland, never looking back, and finished to win 40-21. Thorne went 22 of 30 for 287 yards, 4 touchdowns and an interception, 2 touchdowns to Jaden Reed, who had 8 catches for 114 yards and was supported nicely by Mosley and Foster, who each had 52 yards receiving. Walker was great once again with 143 yards on 30 carries for a 4.8 average and 2 touchdowns. The defense, I thought, used creative looks and blitz packages to kind of get a little bit of pressure on Tua's brother. I'm not even going to try to say anything else. But they got 4 sacks on him, then forced 1 interception. Felt better, obviously, but the passing yards still a little bit of a concern heading into the big one here. They allowed Tua's brother to go 29 of 48 for 350 yards and 2 touchdowns. But playing from behind, a lot of those yards will kind of just be garbage. It was just a nice bounce back. It was a nice bounce back from the loss for Purdue, but nothing I saw made me like more or less confident heading into these final 2 games. I think this is, I mean, the template's out there. And look, I don't want to we're going to talk a little bit about this game, but I don't want to, I mean, the template's there. You know how Michigan State can beat Ohio State. You know how they can lose Ohio State. It's all right there in front of you. Nothing changed after this win. Nice to see Thorne, though. He put up some decent numbers without the second threat of Naylor. Mosley seems to be finding his niche in this offense and taking advantage. Niche? I thought it was niche. I thought it was niche.
Noish.
Niche? Niece? Niche? Niece?
Sorry, I threw you off.
No, you did. I was moving too, man.
Yeah,
I was trying to save some time. He's taken advantage of the opportunity. 4 catches for 52 yards. I think he's very important to this offense right now. It's not going to be big numbers or anything, but you have to have another threat, and that's kind of his role here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't sound like Naylor's coming back. From what I'm hearing,
it's so sad. It's been the story of his college career. He could have been one of the greats in Michigan State. I really believe that.
That's not good.
Nope, go for it. Yeah, crush it. All the bubbles. It's terrible. No, but I think, this game, it was great. I would have
been quicker to just get the camera off me. I'm just not good at that yet.
We have Peyton Thorne in this game looked comfortable again, and I think that's what you saw.
Yep.
You saw him moving around, going right and left out of the pocket, and seeing the field, observing what was going on, and making the right decision on a constant basis. And he's got such great arm talent. I really believe that. And anytime that he's looked off, it's a learning opportunity for him. So the longer this season goes, in my mind, the better he's going to get, because I really believe in his talent. I think he's a pro prospect. Like, I really do. I do. Yeah, I think he's got a big enough arm, a live enough arm. He throws a good enough ball where if he can just be consistent like this, you put up 2-3 years with these kind of numbers that he's putting up right now. Yeah, you're going to be a big time pro prospect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and he's athletic enough. He really reminds me of C.J. Stroud, and I know I'm going backwards to a freshman with Ohio State, and they're about to play each other, but that's on purpose. C.J. Stroud has that ability to kind of look relaxed in difficult situations, and I think Peyton Thorne has that same ability. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes it gets away from him. Kenneth Walker bailed him out against Michigan. Peyton Thorne did not win that game for them. He made a couple big plays. He made an amazing throw over the shoulder to Jalen Naylor, Naylor was one of them.
I think it was Naylor,
and then Reed another. But either way, it
wasn't a good game for him.
When he's comfortable, he is elite in my mind. His tools are elite, and I just think that that going into next week, you couldn't have asked for a better warm up.
Yeah, so you mentioned Walker, 143 yards on 30 carries, 4.8 average, 2 touchdowns. I don't think he put up what we expect in that type of game, right? Yeah. Nothing really like skyrocketed his Heisman status or anything like that, but he's still there. He put up good enough numbers to be like, just wait. You know what I mean? And the game's in front of him here. The next 2 games, I don't want to we're talking about this Ohio State game as the be-all, end-all. Look out for that Penn State team, too, especially the way they match up against a Michigan State team. he's got two big opportunities these next 2 weeks to really cement himself into possibly the favorite. And I know people are going to get a little high on the Bryce. Is it Bryce Young? Is that his name from Alabama and stuff like that? There's other players out there. I
don't think they've played anybody.
I don't think so either. But you could kind of say the same thing with Michigan State right now.
Here and there.
Yeah. But I mean, he's going to be in New York, and he's in games that they don't even need him. He's putting up big numbers, which is cool.
But you're right though. Like, yeah, he didn't lose his Heisman hopes. He didn't turn into an absolute favorite because of this game. But what it does is it keeps him relevant going into the biggest game of the year for them, which is the Ohio State game, with what it means at this point in the season. They lost to Purdue. We get that. We can move on.
Yep.
If they beat Ohio State, they are in the driver's seat with this conference going into the Big Ten Conference Championship.
Yep.
And at this point, if they can beat Ohio State, they're very similar on offense to Ohio State. If they can beat them at their own game, and I think they match up super well offensively. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's going to be a tough game, but if they can pull it off, then Michigan fans all over the state are just going to be crying their eyes out because they're going to be like, oh no, there goes our chance.
Yeah.
Now even if we beat Ohio State, which is a big if,
we needed something else to happen.
You need you need Michigan State to lose.
Yeah. It'll be I don't want to talk too much about this game. We're not going to unpack anything that changes our perspective on this team. I'm just really concerned about this pass defense. It continues to be a concern. 350 yards through the air, which I think has a lot to do with the lack of a pass rush without blitzing. Is that fair? Like, I like what Panashik does. I think he does a good job, but he's not. And I know Michigan State fans will compare him to Aiden Hutchinson. He's not that.
No.
He's put up really good numbers.
Great
but
numbers.
It's also like it almost seems like a mirage because when they're getting pressure and creating that havoc, it's because of blitz. It's because of creativity. You know what I mean? Not necessarily just one-on-one, we're going to beat you. And that's what's exposing the pass defense.
Well, the problem is Panashik is alone in his dominance. So when Panashik is on, he can beat anybody one-on-one for the most part. Like, I don't think he gets as consistent a pressure as Aiden Hutchinson or even Ajabo. I don't think he gets as consistent. Earlier on in the year, he was actually the most consistent.
Yeah, he was.
But the difference is he doesn't have his counterpart on the other side. So what teams have done is they've constantly chipped him from the outside. So then the tackle stays on the inside, so it takes away the inside move. And if they try to go to the outside, they get bumped from the tight end or the wide receiver going out for a pass or the running back.
Yeah.
And that's been the recipe for success to slow this pass rush down because it was so heavily reliant on Panashik for getting pressure, and it doesn't take away from his greatness. It really doesn't. Like, I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying there's a game plan around what they've done, and teams have grown up and woken up to what they can do, and they've been able to work around a little bit of the strength of the Michigan State Sparty defense.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, heading into this, it's like the blueprint's out there for how Michigan State is going to win this game. The blueprint's out there of why they're going to get destroyed. You know what I mean? Like, you can see both sides pretty easily.
I think early momentum is going to be huge in this game against Ohio State.
Yeah, if you can take a lead and suffocate him with Kenneth Walker.
Yes.
Look, Kenneth Walker's going to
100%.
get his. Like, I'm not that impressed with Ohio State's defense. Now, I'm going to say that and be exposed in a couple weeks.
Yeah, because they're going to get
when
8
Michigan and
players
Michigan
drafted
State
in
both
the
get
first
10
round.
points against them, and it's going to be like 100 to 20 in points ratio. Look, they haven't proven it yet, so that's where I'm just going to sit there and be like, Kenneth Walker, that is the key. But on top of that is Jaden Reed. It's the big plays, and Ohio State has proven to allow the big plays, and Michigan State strives on the big plays.
They're really good
and
at
they beat teams on those big plays, and I'm really interested to see how it works. Now, 19-point favorite, 19 points. That is a lot of points.
Yeah,
it feels like it's going to be a 19-20 point win for Ohio State, or Michigan State is going to win a close one. Like, I don't see a middle ground here.
I think they could. I mean, the close game could always be there, but it's got to be where Michigan State is in this early and takes the lead early and does something to slow down the progress of Ohio State. Ohio State's one of those teams. They've been like this for the last, decade and a half. They are so dangerous all the time. They're like, if you give an inch to them, they're going to take a touchdown.
Yeah.
And once they get one touchdown, then it's like, oh no, how many touchdowns are they going to get this quarter? You know, like we've seen, how many times
Right.
have we seen them score 4 touchdowns in one quarter, in the second quarter, and the
way
game
too
is
many
close. Yeah, the game is like close in the first quarter. We're all pumped about how the game's going from either side, Michigan State or Michigan. And then by halftime, you're losing 35-14.
Yeah, it just happens so
It's like,
quick.
how did that happen?
Yeah.
And they are just elite with their playmakers all the time. They are elite with their play calling all the time. So Michigan State has to be elite on the other side. They have to do something early that's maybe a little unconventional, or take those big shots and hit on them early with Jaden Reed down the field. And then if you're not going Reed, they have their other options. They do. And I like them. But those are like the big plays. What they live by, the reason why those big plays are available is because they've got Kenneth Walker on the inside. They've got him to rely on, and he has to play a lights out game.
They've been setting him up for this game. I mean, like,
Yes.
hey, we're going to give you the ball 30, 33 times. Like, 30 times is like your minimum, and we're going to continue to do it because when the game matters, we're not going to go anywhere else.
And let's be honest, he has played his best game of the entire season when they needed it most against Michigan. They were outclassed by Michigan, and their playmakers won them the game.
Yep.
And I'm not saying outclassed meaning better team, worse team. Like, let's not even get into that
Michigan
argument.
was the better team.
Top to bottom positional groups comparison, yes, except that the running back discrepancy was insane. The wide receivers were just so much better. The talent from the skill positions were that much better. And that has to show through with Kenneth Walker. He has to dominate this game for them to have a chance.
Yep.
Kenneth Walker could have done what he did against Michigan, and they could have lost.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy to think?
That's
right?
insane. They should never lose a game where he goes for 200 plus, five touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he needs to be their most reliable player against Ohio State for them to have any chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think defensively, Michigan State, I mean, is not good. And you'd be an idiot to say that this is how they're going to do it defensively.
Especially through the air.
However, early on, and even against Michigan, the bend did not break mentality. They were very good at that. And if they can hold Ohio State to just a couple field goals instead of touchdowns, that's a key for this game.
Yeah.
Very big key. And on the other side, cashing in and not kicking field goals or making field goals. That's another thing that Michigan State's dealing with right now is who's their kicker. It's gonna be interesting. It is. Now,
Coughlin?
Well, I mean, he is. He's back. I think. I have a feeling it was like a suspension or something.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, like just like one of those.
He should be
quiet
ready.
ones. He did end up playing last week after I think a missed extra point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be important to just cash an opportunity. You cannot miss an opportunity in this type of game against Ohio State.
This is also important where they might be trapped. They might feel like they have to go for a trick play or something to get 7 points early on in this game. If you have an opportunity to score points against Ohio State earlier in the game, in the first half, you take the points.
I agree.
And that's just my thought going into this. I mean, you could even talk about the Lions, like with their extra point. That was the difference of them winning or losing that game.
Yep.
It turned into that. And it was very early on when that happened.
Yeah.
So always take the points in these types of games where in the end you can take your shot, you can try to win it, you can go for a 2-point conversion at the very end if you need to, but take your points early on. Yeah,
and I think one thing that's really important with Michigan State and why they have been successful against Ohio State in the past and under D'Antonio is like, yeah, we're going in as underdogs, but we're not going to play like we're underdogs. We're going to play like we're there to fight. We're going to win like our way. We're not going to adjust our game just because we're the underdog and we're going to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to panic.
Yeah.
It's just going to be, we're going to stick to it. We're going to do that. I'm curious to see what Mel Tucker is in this type of game. I think he did a great job against Michigan.
I trust him, man.
I trust him too because he did it against Michigan when he shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been running the ball.
Yeah.
And he did, and it worked out.
I will say this. I feel like Michigan State has a better chance of out-coaching Ohio State than Michigan does. in the next 2 weeks. I think Michigan, their whole season relies on this. That's when you can tighten up your butt cheeks, get tight.
It's also a different rivalry.
It is.
It means different. It
is.
means more. It's.
I think State has the ability to be more free, more willing to just
okay. That makes more sense.
To play the game of football the way they need to win.
Yep. Outcoach. Yeah. All right. So I get what you're saying.
We don't have to get in that argument.
No, we don't. I don't know. I'm so excited for it. I really am.
So that was our quick intro to college football, right?
Yeah. So let's get into the episode, right?
Yeah, let's talk about stuff.